Welcome back to some Gmail training. This is our agenda here. Archiving versus deleting images, which is very helpful. Tagging messages, which is just like folders in the old World client we used to have. And message threading, which keeps conversations together when you're emailing back and forth. So let's get started. Archiving versus deleted. So I'm here in my inbox, and this is an email I know I'm never going to need again. It's relevant, but I don't need it, and I know I'll never need it. I can hit the delete. It is essentially gone for good. It is actually technically in the trash, but it'll eventually fall off the end and be gone for good. Now, if I need something archived, like this account details one, this is just info for an account, that I can archive that, meaning I don't want to trash it, but I also don't want it clogging up my inbox. This button right here is called Archive, which gets it out of your inbox and just kind of sends it to, it now shows up in the all mail if you're curious. So it is still there, but you don't really need to see it in your inbox. It's just in the way. So if you want to delete it, it's gone for good. If you archive it, you still have it and you can still search for it. So if I do a search for account, you can see it does show up in my search, but it's not clogging up the inbox. All right, let's look at our to-do list. Tagging messages. So if you like keeping things neat into folders, or you want to kind of keep social things separate from work, etc., you can check mark multiple emails or individual emails, and you can label them. What's nice about this versus using folders is you can label it with multiple labels. So let's say this is in updates and it's also social, and I can hit apply. So if I go and look in what you used to call a social folder, you'll see all of those things, but it'll also be inside the updates. You can create even new labels. So down here at the bottom, if I say create new label, and I'll say this is maybe a family one, and you can nest it underneath other ones, but I haven't made any other ones. So I'll hit OK there. Back in my inbox, if I want to label this one, I now have family as an option as well. We could check mark that. Now if I want to go look at those sections, those folders, so to speak, you can go over here and expand this if it doesn't already show up there. Family is already above that, but if you expand that out, you can look into categories, and you can see I have one message in the social and one in the updates, which actually is the exact same message. If I go into social, there's that message, and if I go into updates, it is the same message because I put it into, essentially put it into two different folders. But they're not really folders, they're just tagged. So you can put multiple labels on there, and it makes finding things a little easier. I notice this family, this custom label is showing up above this drop down here, which I'm guessing Google deems it as more important because I create a custom label for it, so it probably has something to do with that. All right, now let's look at message threading, which is essentially keeping a conversation together. So if I go in here, I'm in my inbox, here's an email. I'm just going to reply back to that. Oh, one other interesting thing here you may have noticed. If it underlines a date, you can actually add it directly to your calendar right from there, which is pretty nice. You can manipulate it a little bit before you add it to the calendar without ever leaving Gmail. And if you tie your Gmail or your Google Calendar to your phone, it automatically shows up on your phone. I share my calendar with family members, for instance, so they know what I'm doing and when to schedule stuff without contacting me even. Save some time. Anyways, I'm writing back to Sam, say, hey, thanks, I'll be there. Send. And then I'll tell him to write back, and you'll see the conversation thread. Interestingly, I was just sitting here, and down at the bottom right, it says I have a new message from Samuel Clemens, and it must have something to do with this, but I could show it right there. I'm going to go into my inbox, and sure enough, there's a reply back from him, and you can see it's between these people. If I click on it, this is threading, where it's a collapsed view of the original email, my reply, then his reply, and it all keeps it nice and neat together. There's nothing there to see. If you hit the little dots, it just shows you the old stuff. This is the way you used to have to do it, with these ugly indents and more indents and more indents, and Message threading is a beautiful thing. You are able to turn that off. You can expand all here, and that will show you the old style. I'm sorry, that's not actually the old style. That just expands them all. Excuse me. Now, if you don't like this message threading where it keeps all of these together in a collapsed manner, which saved me a bunch of inbox room because it put all those emails together. But if you do want to turn that off, you can go to the gear icon, which usually indicates settings changes, and go to settings, and underneath the general tab, go down to conversation view, sets whether emails of the same topic are grouped together, and you can turn that off. And so if you do that, when they write back, it'll show up as a completely separate new email like it did in the old World client. I'm going to leave mine on because I enjoy that method better.